welcome to Lessons Learned Live. Today I'm in the engine control room of the Explorer of the Seas, and our subject is engine room fires. We're going to look at two real events. One, the engine room fire on the Nordic Empress in June of 2001. And the other, the engine room fire here on the Explorer of the Seas in May of 2002. Two almost identical events in terms of the way they got started. However, the outcomes, as you'll see, were entirely different. Fortunately, in both cases, there were no injuries to passengers or crew. However, in the case of Nordic Empress, the ship had to sound the emergency signal, and as an aftermath of the fire, the ship was taken out of service for 2 weeks. In the case of the Explorer of the Seas, they had to go to Bravo, but not to an emergency signal, and the whole event was over in under a minute. The repairs it required, a $500 sensor had to be replaced, everything else could be cleaned up with rags and soap and water. We're going to try now to take you back to what happened on the Nordic Empress in June of 2001, to show you what went right and also to show you what the lessons learned were. Then we'll talk about how the company reacted, the investments that were made, the training that was conducted, that allowed the Explorer of the Seas just a few months later to have a very similar situation and a much more positive outcome.
On June 16, 2001, at 5:30 in the morning, the Nordic Empress, with 2,213 passengers and crew, was disabled 140 miles north of Bermuda, following an engine room fire. The fire was so intense that the captain quickly sounded the emergency signal, and the ship's emergency plans were activated. Fortunately, no passengers or crew were injured due to the professional action taken by the captain and crew. The ship did, however, suffer extensive engine room damage that resulted in the ship being taken out of service for 2 weeks. You can see some of the damage in these images. The subsequent investigation found that a bolt on a fuel line flange failed, resulting in fuel being released onto hot engine surfaces, causing an explosive fire. As you saw, the damage to the engine room was significant. The ship maintained power to the accommodation areas during the entire event and was able to return to Bermuda on her own, although with reduced power. Let's now take a step-by-step look at the Nordic Empress fire. The investigation showed that the fuel line had been welded on previously. Improper bolts had been used and the tightening was not sufficient, and the original modification was not properly done. The flange assembly was not in compliance with the technical bulletin. The bolts